Hello, everyone, and welcome to this month's Financial Security for All Community of Practice webinar. We are delighted to have with us today some of our friends from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. If you're just joining, you'll see a poll on the screen. We'd ask that you take just a second to respond to the poll, and we'll get started in just a minute. Which one of the following populations do you primarily work with? And have you visited the CFPB website before? So we'll give you a chance to respond to that poll. We're talking today about some of the wonderful research-based resources that are available for educators from CFPB. And I know we've used many of those here in Arkansas. We have with us today Lynn Harrelson. Lynn is a financial education program analyst and works with youth education outreach and policy. I like to say that Lynn and I are Valley girls. We grew up in the same little hometown, Dardanelle, Arkansas, in the Arkansas River Valley area. So Lynn, before she was with CFPB, she worked with the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis and was assistant director for Arkansas Department of Rural Services. Lynn conducts outreach to schools, communities, and other organizations on youth financial education resources, research, and policy. And she earned her master's in business administration from University of Arkansas at Little Rock, and her bachelor's degree was in accounting from Arkansas Tech University. We're also joined today by Leslie Jones. Leslie is a youth financial education analyst at CFPB. She's a former business teacher, instructional designer, curriculum supervisor, and developer. She advises on the benefits of K-12 financial education and the challenges of incorporating personal finance into K-12 courses. Leslie's a certified business teacher in Virginia, and she was recognized in 3 editions of Who's Who Among America's Teachers, and was a member of the 2004 National Outstanding High School Business Department, and that's sponsored by the Association of Career and Technical Educators. Leslie's master's degree is in instructional design and development from George Mason University in Fairfax, Virginia, and she has 2 bachelor's degrees, one from Bowling Green State University in Bowling Green, Ohio, in marketing education, and the other from Lake Erie College in Painesville, Ohio, in arts management and sales. As we progress with our webinar today, we'll be taking questions throughout, so you're welcome to put those in the chat. But you're also welcome to put questions in the Q&A, and we'll be sure and circle back around to those on breaks or at the end of our webinar today. So please join me in welcoming Lynn and Leslie.
Hello, and thank you for allowing the CFPB to share our resources with you today. As Laura indicated, I'm Lynn Harrelson, and I'll be joined by Leslie. We'll kind of tag team throughout this presentation today. And together we're going to take you through our youth financial education resources, as well as a few of our general CFPB tools and resources. This is our typical disclaimer. It says that this presentation is currently being used and it should not be used as interpreted as any legal interpretation guidance or anything else. The document is simply being used as a live support of this discussion.
Hi, this is Leslie, and I'm going to now ask Samantha if she can share the results of the poll. All right, so looks like most of you are working with youth and adults, which is our normal population. We have a few people that are working with reentry populations and with economically vulnerable consumers. Let's see here, and looks like it's half and half in terms of visiting the CFPB website. Some of you, you'll hopefully learn a few things that you didn't know about, and for some of you, you're going to learn a great new resource that you've got to visit later today. And then we have ordering publications. We have equal ordering and downloading. It looks like most of you are pretty flexible and will do whatever works for you. And hopefully we'll share with you some things that you can order that you were unfamiliar with before. Okay, so Lynn, let's tell them a little bit about the CFPB.
So the CFPB was created to provide kind of a single point of accountability for enforcing our federal consumer financial laws and protecting consumers in the financial marketplace. Before that, it was spread, these consumer laws and how we protect consumers was spread over 20 agencies. So how do we go about our work? We go about it in basically a three-legged stool. So the first is we empower consumers by creating tools, answer common questions, provide tips that help consumers navigate their financial choices, shop for the deal that works best for them. Of course, we are a regulatory agency, and so we have an enforcement arm. And we take action against predatory companies, individuals, and practices that violate the laws in which we have been charged with implementing, and have returned already billions of dollars in our 10 years of existence to harm consumers. And then what you'll hear about today is, of course, mine and Leslie's favorite, is educating. And how we do that is we encourage financial education and capability from all the way from age 3 all the way to retirement. We publish research, we educate financial companies about their responsibilities, and that's what we are going to talk to you mostly about today. So a little bit, we start with this concept of financial well-being. Financial well-being is the ultimate goal of our financial education and protection efforts here at the CFPB. A commonly agreed upon and consumer-driven definition and measure of the concept of financial well-being is the ability to meet financial obligations and still make choices to enjoy life. This can be done at high income levels and at low income levels. It's all about managing the resources that you have. That is, as you'll see on this slide, different than financial capability, which is based on knowledge, skills, and access to manage financial resources effectively. So the 4 elements that make up financial well-being here at the Bureau is our research suggests that there are these 4 elements: security in the present, which is to have control over your day-to-day, your month-to-month finances. Freedom of choice to present, which is financial freedom to make choices to enjoy life. Security in the future, where a person is able to absorb a financial shock. And then freedom of choice in the future, to be on track to meet your financial goals. Following the adult financial well-being research, we sought to understand what knowledge, habits, and skills youth need to acquire financial well-being in adulthood. What do they need in childhood that can put them on a trajectory to adult financial well-being? Across the top of this diagram are the 3 building blocks of our youth financial education. Children and youth need all 3 of the interconnected building blocks to achieve financial capability and make progress towards adult financial well-being. The building blocks include executive function, which is the thinking skills and abilities needed to plan ahead, focus attention, and remember information, and practice self-control and juggle multiple tasks. Financial habits and norms, the values, standards, routine practices, and rules to live by used to navigate day-to-day financial life. And finally, financial knowledge and decision-making. The knowledge and skills needed to understand the financial world and make informed financial decisions. Down the left side is the developmental stage, where youth begin to acquire each of these building blocks. You will note the check mark indicates the optimal developmental stage for beginning acquisition of each building block. However, each building block can be built on and improved upon throughout childhood and beyond.
Lynn, can I stop and ask the audience a question really fast?
Absolutely.
Thank you. I would like you guys to use the chat to tell us something. I need it for some stuff I'm going to talk about later. Do you manage money the same way as your parents and or siblings? Do you manage money the same way as your parents and or siblings? If you could type in the chat a yes or no to that, I'd appreciate it. Okay, thank you. I got the feedback that I needed for my my part of the presentation later. That was like an informal poll. Thank you, Lynn.
So we'll start out with youth financial education occurs in a couple of places, or 2 or 3 places. First, parents and caregivers. The parents and caregivers are a primary source of getting information. And Leslie will talk about, and her little poll will indicate that that can be good or bad, right? And then we have communities in which you operate. And then we have the school systems. So this particular resource, Money as You Grow, was designed and makes it easy for parents and caregivers to find tools, activities, and information to help them talk to their children about money. Storytelling is kind of a classic technique we've used for many years to teach concepts, rules, ideas, and listed on this page are some classic books along with newer stories that can be used to assist in creating these building blocks in your children. The Money as You Grow bookshelf and parent guides, which go along with the books you just saw, are booklets that go with these children books, and they help parents and caregivers use story time to help children achieve the building blocks of youth financial capability. Inside the book, in the guides, is the story, some key ideas from the story, something to think about, and you'll see Leslie holding up a couple of the parent guides right now. Before you read, something to talk about, and then something to do, which can be age specific. And these are great to pair with books that parents may have or that they can go to the library and get and pull down. As a result of, not as a result of the pandemic, but yay, this was something we came up with. Libraries were kind of not a source for a while during the pandemic, but we already had these Money Monster stories on our radar. So the Money Monster stories are actual storybooks. They're comprised of 6 stories and 1 handout for grades K through 5. And you'll see Leslie showing you one as I speak. The Money Monsters are a group of creatures who are new to our universe, which means they need to learn about many important things like school, friendship, and financial literacy. The booklets are available in EPUB or PDF files, as well as orderable to get a set to hand out. The stories teach financial literacy is when you have the knowledge and skills to make money choices that are right for you. These Money Monster stories will introduce youth to ideas, habits, and activities that they'll need as they grow up and start to manage their own money.
Hello, everyone. Okay, so this is our portal to our information on teaching financial education and learning more about the building blocks and assessing financial capability skill building. For example, we have a page on financial knowledge and decision-making skills. It is one of the more popular pages on our website to help explain more about the building blocks. So if the information that Lynn gave earlier, you'd like some more information, this is where you could come to locate that additional information. One of my favorite parts of our resources that we have from this webpage is our financial literacy activities. In this last year, we were able to add some additional topics to our filter tool. So this is part of our filter tool broken down so you can see it a little bit better, but you can filter by the building block you want to teach to. You can filter by the school subject. So if you're going in to speak to a PE class versus a CTE class versus a social studies class, you can select by that school subject and then tweak what you're teaching in terms of financial literacy to that content area. You can also choose by topic, earn, save, protect, spend, or borrow, and then delve into those topics in greater detail. The new topics are becoming an entrepreneur, learning about careers, banking options, using insurance, and giving to others. These activities are designed for educators who are new to teaching financial education and for reinforcing and enriching topics if you have familiarity with the subject, but maybe you want to do things a little bit differently. We also have duration, like if you only have 15 minutes versus 45 minutes versus 80 minutes to be in a classroom. And for those of you that are really up on your financial literacy and notice that we have the old standards, the CE standards, and the Jumpstart standards, know that this year we're updating all of our activities to just be the single national personal financial education standards for 2021. All right, so this is an example of an activity. So we have looked through, we've gotten a list of 5 that looked interesting by the way that we filtered. And this is an example of, if you click on the link, what you get a chance to see as an overview of the activity before you decide to download any files. You get the big idea, you get the essential questions the students should be able to answer after they've completed the activity, the objectives, the identification of what the students will do, and the grade level that that's being taught to. Everything on that right-hand side is basically what teachers need to complete lesson plans. So if they're just like, how will this fit into my curriculum? How will this fit into what I'm teaching? Just give them that list, because that will help answer a bunch of questions for them. And then as you can see at the bottom, you're able to download the activity. All activities have a teacher guide. Some have student worksheets and some have student handouts. This one is one of our more popular activities, playing an investment game. After the interesting things that started happening with the stock market that went on in 2021, that turned out students got a lot more interested in this topic, and more teachers started teaching it. Let's try an activity together, and I'll give you an idea of what we do. This one is on protecting your Social Security number. It's a 15-minute activity, and I think a great time to use it is if you're trying to teach things about identity theft, fraud, or say you're getting ready to talk to them about taxes in some way, shape, or form, sometime when their Social Security numbers would be needed. But I hope you have the chat available, because we're going to do some true or false here. And the first question I have for you is, Social Security numbers aren't important. True or false? Social Security numbers aren't important. True or false? I see the first people in the chat identified false correctly, so congratulations. Let's try the second question. Sometimes it's okay to share my Social Security number. True or false? Sometimes it's okay to share my Social Security number. Okay, I see the first people out the block are saying true. Congratulations. This is one of the first groups that I've talked to that got that correct. I didn't see any falses in there. I'll read you our explanation. It says, sometimes you'll have to share your Social Security number. For example, when you get a job, rent an apartment, open a bank account, or apply for a credit card, you may need to share your Social Security number. Always ask why someone needs your number, how it will be used, and what will happen if you refuse. And then the last one, I'm sorry. If someone uses my Social Security number, I'll find out right away. If someone uses my Social Security number, I'll find out right away. True or false? I see a lot of false there, and that is correct. As you heard, what we provide for you is the question, the answer, and then an explanation. So that way, if the kiddos ask and you're like, I'm not really sure, the information is right there for you. One of the other things I also like about our activities is that the student worksheets don't identify the grade level. So you can move an activity up. Like this one is designed, I think, for middle school, but you could use it in high school if you wanted to. You might even be able to use it in elementary. It's your choice and at how you want to use it, depending on the young people that you're working with. Let's try a second activity and see what it's like. Now, this is another one of my favorites, exploring government agencies, and it's because we decided to focus in on 7 of the agencies, federal agencies that provide consumer protections and teach students about who they can go to in certain situations. Now, there are 3 statements here. Normally there are 7 and it's a matching, so it's easier to get filled out because you can eliminate one answer, but let's go ahead and go through these. For the first one, our home was terribly damaged in a hurricane. My family needs immediate help with a place to stay and needs help figuring out how to save our house. Which government agency should we contact? Can you type that in the chat, please? Which government agency should we contact? FEMA is correct. Very good. All right, let's look at that second one. My cousin needs help figuring out how to get an auto loan. Which agency has tools to help him? My cousin needs help figuring out how to get an auto loan. Which agency has tools to help him? Can you type your answers in the chat? This is the classic one that I was saying that it's a lot easier to answer it if you're in that matching and doing it the way that it's designed. But here in the true and false, it's easy to think that it might be 2 or 3 of these agencies. But in this case, the answer is CFPB. That the auto loan industry is one of the industries that we regulate. And so we are the source that you should come to for information on auto loans. All right, let's do this last one. My grandmother is about to retire. Which government agency will help her with her retirement benefits? Very good. The Social Security Administration is correct. All right, so you can see that it's just a quick way. Again, this is just a 15-20-minute activity. It's a quick way to highlight for the students these agencies. And then if you want to do greater detail, you can go into it. One of the things I really love about our activities is the fact that they're really narrowly focused. We don't try to cover a whole bunch in a single activity. We try to cover small nuggets of information. So truly, if you have students that are like, I want to know more about blank, or I'm confused about blank, you can probably find that topic in our activities and then just teach to that specific topic. All right, so one of the other things that we've done is we were asked, well, you've got a lot of resources you're sharing, URLs you're sharing. Can you put it all in one place? So we created this resource list so that if you're looking for a reliable source, a federal government or a nonprofit organization that teaches a certain topic, whose resource we have used in one of our activities, then you can come here, and as you see under Save and Invest, you can go under Investments and then click Show, and then you're able to see what resources we've used to teach to that topic. And so it's just a way for you to find additional information, tools, things like that, that might help you do more. I also want to mention that we also have a youth financial education glossary page, and it is our most visited page on our resources. I think people bookmark it and then go back to it on a regular basis, looking for just really plain language terminology that they can easily use with students K to 12. And let me go ahead and we'll show you. Let's do one more activity. And that one is, this one's money circles. Now, what happened with this one was we came up with, the adult FinEd people came up with the money circle toolkit. So many of you told us that you work in the money, you work with adult FinEd. This crosses both doing youth and adults. So the money circle toolkit helps us understand how the people around us shape the way we think and feel about money. It's a great toolkit. And if you work with adult clients, it's a great coaching tool. So if you have not looked at it before and you haven't downloaded it, please think about doing so. What I did was I read it and I said, oh my gosh, team, we need to turn this into an activity for kids, because I think it's really important for kids to understand about their money circle and the people they're with, because we know that families are the child's first experience with money. But I asked you earlier, how well do you handle how similarly do you handle your finances compared to your parents and your siblings, the people that you spent a lot of time watching them handle finances? And many of you told me you don't. And so what that tells me is that as outsiders to a family, we can be really helpful to kiddos. They're probably not going to manage money the same way as their family members. So they need to learn about what other techniques are out there, what else is normal out there, what else is common, ordinary, and doable. And we can help them do that. So when you're approaching these children, please do so realizing that you might be giving them the light that they need to go, oh, there's a different way to do this than what I've been seeing my whole life. This is great. So that's what can happen. And this is one of the activities that can get you there. So for the Money Circle Toolkit, one of the questions we ask the students, and this is just another 15-20 minute one, is we ask them, think about who influences your money choices. Think about who influences your money choices. Is it more of your family members, more of your friends, or more is it other people? And if you can type in the chat for me and tell me what it is for you. Who influences your money, your decisions about money more? Your family members, your friends, or is it other people? It's your family. I see it for most of you, it is your family. For me, my family, I only reach out to them to ask them about money decisions because I plan to do the opposite of whatever they tell me, because the ways my family makes decisions about money scares me. And what I have discovered is one of the people that influenced me the most was a principal that I had who came in and was like, yes, I know that you're a teacher and I know that you guys have pensions, but you all need to be doing this 403B thing. It's great. It'll really help you. You'll love it. And I was like, whatever. And I started to do it. And I was like, a year later, I was like, one, I didn't notice the money was gone. And two, oh my God, look at what I have in savings. It was just a transformative for me. And I I switched my financial habits and norms about retirement because of him. And I started doing so much more about savings. So I find that other people influence my decisions about money more. I also had a coworker who was incredibly frugal and careful about money. And the 3 years I worked for her, I was more financially prudent than I have been in my rest of my life, because she just kept harping at me about what I didn't need and what I could give up in order to, have better savings and things like that. So for me, I'm an other people thing. But I understand, but that's the whole thing, is it helps you to know who's your money circle. So people tend to be savers, spenders, planners. They tend to be impulsive, worriers, or confident. And that's what this activity gets you a chance to have a discussion around and think about for yourself, both as an adult, as a child. So we've got you covered, whatever space you work in. One of the other tools that we've created is this financial path to graduation tool. It helps high school seniors and college students interpret their financial aid offer letters and decide what their better options are for paying for college. Plus, we also have an activity that helps you prep young people, because this is a wonderful tool, but it doesn't work until you have your actual financial aid offer letter. So to help out the team that built it, I had my team create this planning your financial path to graduation activity. And in the activity, they're able to practice with 3 different scenarios, inputting information into the tool to get familiar with it, so that when they finally get their own letter, boom, they can go. And it helps you try to figure out what strategies there are to cover costs, if you can afford your loans, if loans are worth the investment. And it also prompts you to have conversations with your family, with advisors, school officials to get more information and start planning. Part of the strategies should I be going to, should I be taking some different kind of classes here in school to be able to help reduce the, help get credits, in high school for college, those kinds of things. All right, so I think that, oh, no, I think it's still me a little bit. The other thing we created was some student self-assessment tools. Len mentioned our financial well-being tool. And as part of the financial well-being tool, we have a scale, and people can, adults can question themselves and find out how well are they doing to achieve financial well-being. And it's normed, and it gives you, it compares your score to other people your age, and it lets you know how on track you are compared to people similar to you. We created something similar in the youth space, and it's called Map Your Money Journey. So you can use this with youth. Like in the adult space, we can use the financial well-being scale, and it can be used as a starter activity in a classroom. It takes probably about 10, 15 minutes to complete. And we have it for grades 3-5, grades 6-8, and grades 9-12. There are 3 versions: elementary, middle, and high. They're given a series of questions. At the elementary and middle school level, it's 20 questions. At the high school level, it's 30 questions. And after they've answered this set of questions that are on a Likert scale, and I just want to emphasize, these questions are not math questions. They're, again, like our financial well-being scale. They're how you feel about your money, how you feel about money management, how those kinds of questions. And the kids like answering them because they're like, oh, it wasn't math. And they're very relieved that they don't have to do math. And they get this overall results score. And we make sure that it's a results page, because we found out that the students didn't like the scoring. They wanted just the results. So that's what we give them. And there's 3 categories of results that they see below. The 3 categories are planning and self-control, money habits and values, money knowledge and choices, which of course align with the 3 building blocks. In this case, you see that the student is well on the road. They might be just starting out, or they might be well on their way to attaining the financial capability skills that they need in order to be adults with adult financial well-being. And after they've reviewed their results, the students are guided through a next step process to continue to improve their scores and learn more about money management. So they explore their strengths. They're told to talk with their teacher, to talk with a parent or another trusted adult, and then they're given some activities that they can do to help improve their skill set. All right, so I believe that I now am going to turn this back over to Lynn.
Thank you. I'm going to go really quickly through some general resources that the CFPB has that I think Leslie and I thought would be complementary as well. So next slide. The first of these is submit a complaint. A lot of people are hesitant to submit a complaint. Even if your complaint doesn't rise to the level of complaint, we gather that information. So just to give you an idea, when you submit a complaint at the Bureau, where you receive it, you get an email updates, we track it. You can log in at any time and see the progress. And then once it's reviewed and routed, the companies tend to respond in about 15 days. If it's a complicated matter, they may update and take as long as 60 days. A lot of times, the resolution happens then. Then we actually publish some of the complaints. We have a complaint database that kind of allows people to go out and see, they may go out there and look around and see what types of complaints are out there, or who is getting a lot of complaints. Is your financial institution getting a lot of complaints? It's just a way to see what's out there in the marketplace. And then the consumer has the opportunity to review the company's response, and you'll have 60 days to provide feedback to the Bureau. We also work with multilingual communities. in the United States, financial products tend to be generally described in English. And for those that speak another language, it can be challenging to really understand and use the products and services. So many of our CFPB publications are available in a number of languages other than English. For example, our glossaries, which I believe Laura popped into the chat a link to, those have been translated into Spanish, Chinese, Vietnamese, Korean, and Tagalog. And in addition, our complaint database telephone line provides translation services for those needing to file a complaint with the CFPB about a financial product or service. CFPB activities to build youth financial capability. Leslie described and you walked through several of the activities. We looked at what the most activities were downloaded by educators, and we translated those into Spanish, and those are listed here on this slide, and you have a link there available in Spanish. Next slide. Ask CFPB is our database of answers, essentially. You can get clear, impartial answers to common questions like auto loans, bank accounts, credit cards, debt collection, families and money, money transfers, mortgages, prepaid cards, students, and payday loans. We also take feedback. If you find the answer not to be particularly helpful or lacking something, we encourage anyone to give us that feedback so that we can make this database as robust as possible, always with a focus on plain language, making it understandable and easy for anyone to understand. Our disaster and emergency preparedness, we worked with FEMA to create this resource. It includes preparing for your finances for natural disasters, recovery and protect your money after a natural disaster or emergency, and then rebuilding your home, property, and credit after a natural disaster.
And hi, I wanted to also remind you about checking out our bulk publications. One of the questions we asked you was, would you be more likely to order or download our materials, and whether you want it, either one that you want to do, this is the place you want to visit, our bulk publications website. Now, the link that we've put up here will take you to the Youth Financial Education Publications page. But if you look over on the left-hand side of the screen, you'll see that we have other categories of, we have audio recordings, we have information on credit, managing someone else's money, we have money management, taxes, as well as, what was the other, and just a variety of different topics that you might find it useful, especially in the adult space. And our Money Monster booklets, we also have some posters on options for storing your savings, understanding credit scores, what is debt, etc. So if you're visiting a classroom, it's a great gift to leave the instructor a poster that they can put up on their classroom wall. What is your money style is one of them. So that is something that you can just leave, whether it has to do with the topic that you taught. And of course, being able to order our stickers and bookmarks, again, that's just something that you can leave for an elementary or middle school classroom as something that they can give out or use as they need to. I call it, if you've probably been to a warehouse store and you go into the warehouse store and you've got your cart and you're waiting for that one or two items you get through, and somehow when you get to the registers, you look down and your cart's completely full and you can't figure out how it happened. That's what visiting the bulk publication site is like. And the best part is that when you get to the registers, instead of giving you a total that you owe them, instead we say, thank you, everything is free. We'll have it shipped to you and placed at your front door in 3 to 4 weeks. Have a great day. That's how easy it is. So if you've never visited our bulk publication site, please think about doing so, because it will bring you great joy. And the other thing that you can do is follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. And if you would like to receive 1 or 2 emails a month that tell you more about what's coming out in the youth financial education space, or something else that's important bureau-wide. Like, for example, we were sending out messages during the height of the coronavirus on renters protections and mortgage protection. And we just sent out something on all the tax craziness that we're going to experience this year because of the variety of laws that have come out and the things that we've been able to take advantage of. We had an email sent out about that to help you find some tools and information about that. Please think about using our email sign up list to get on that list and get that email per month to highlight a few activities or highlight something that's going on in the Bureau that might affect your life and that might be useful to you to know more about.